If you're using low-quality vinyl windows, there's something you can do to help save time and money over the long run. And that something is using Andersen 100 series products instead of vinyl. 100 series products are available at a similar price to vinyl, but made with Fibrex material that's twice as strong and holds up in high heat, even in dark colors. And unlike some other vinyl alternatives, 100 series products have a smooth and consistent finish. That's why you can trust Andersen 100 series products to be the smart alternative to vinyl. Learn more at andersenwindows.com/pros. This comes from Kit. We alluded to Kit's question. A month back, an architectural salvage warehouse I loved went out of business and auctioned off all their inventory online. As a result, I got some great deals for an upcoming project. Also, a few duds. It made me curious if there are salvaged and secondhand things that you all look out for, think tend to be a good value, or prefer to use from a sustainability perspective. Alternatively, are there things you absolutely avoid? From my perspective, I'm pretty excited to have a bunch of secondhand appliances and light fixtures from fancier folks' renovations, and a set of stained glass doors that very much in they don't make them like that anymore category. That being said, it was definitely more of a hassle than just ordering them from a box store or through a GC. Plus, it makes scoping projects a little trickier, and some things like salvage windows and floors seem like they may not be worth the effort. Thanks so much. So I asked Kit for some of her recent purchases, and she suggests, my highlights include, besides those doors, were a coordinated chandelier and pendant lights from my kitchen and dining area that came from two completely unrelated warehouses, a high-end kitchen faucet that needed decalcifying, and a $10 part to be good as new. Low lights include a return air grate that came from with several dozen pounds of undisclosed other grates and vents, which are currently sitting in the garage, destined for donation and or scrap metal. This is a great question, Kit. Grant, do you have thoughts on what makes good secondhand stuff or not?
Yeah, so it depends on if you have the patience or either you have the patience and skills to deal with them yourself, or you have the money to pay somebody else to deal with them. I'm all for it. And some things, historical, like doors and things like that, you will never recreate. So that's definitely a true point. But just remember that sometimes salvage stuff costs you more than it would have just cost you to buy something new. And I hate to say that because I hate to sound wasteful, but and to Kit's point, I think she hit on the head. It's hit or miss. You can definitely get some stuff, but don't set out with the idea I'm going to fill my whole house with salvaged materials, because you might end up being disappointed in the end.
Ian, I bet you are delighted when customers come to you and say, "Oh my gosh, I got this thing."
Typically, it's always a door. It's like, I found this great door. I want to put it in my house. It'll be this awesome feature thing. And I'm like, great. It's going to cost you like 2 or 3 times the cost of a new door to go in that opening, because we're going to have to make sure that the frame is right, the hardware is right, and then we're going to have to install it in a way that, as Grant reminded me of in the pre-show chat, I have to warranty your salvage door install now as part of your project. But this letter from Kit took me back to my time working on a few different estates in upstate New York, where we would go to different salvage places and we would look for hardware that matched the hardware at the homes that we were working at. And finding that stuff out in the wild at a salvage place, if you're in that business of servicing these old homes, is as good as gold, because like Grant said, you're never going to find that one brass hinge that you need that has some interesting little detail on it, and maybe it's close enough and you can take one from somewhere else in the house and swap it, into a more main entertaining area. But for me, it's always the different hardware pieces. And when I'm doing work in my shop, every once in a while, I open up a drawer and there'll be just like some random brass hinge that I got from some salvage place because it matched something at an estate I was working at.
My oversimplified answer is buy stuff you need, not just because it's a good deal. I mean, I like going to yard sales on Saturday mornings with Carol, and I'm often tempted by building products, materials. I buy electrical boxes because they're a great deal, and now I have milk crates full of electrical boxes I don't need. But I've also bought some light fixtures that I really like. You need to be somewhat handy because oftentimes they're dangerous, light fixtures specifically because they have wiring with insulation that is degraded.
A lot of electricians want nothing to do with rewiring those.
I get that. I totally get that. It's got to be for your own stuff.
Yeah, my electrician I would use, he was like, no. There's even times like he wouldn't, like you take out a fixture in the house ever. He's like, I can't blame him.
His back.
Honestly, I can't blame him. Like that's his livelihood on the line. So,
and they see fires from arcing connections.
His biggest thing was not even like he said worried about fire necessarily, but his biggest thing was he said if I put in a fixture like this and it doesn't work, that makes me look bad. And all you need is the one client to start complaining about the fixture I put in that was a salvage fixture that didn't work. To now, that's a hit to my reputation.
Yep.
And I have no recourse to fix it except go buy a new fixture anyway.
Sarah and I did use one salvage piece in building our house. We have a leaded glass window that is originally from her grandparents' farmhouse that at one point got taken out of that farmhouse and then was in her parents' house, the one that I got all the electrical fun stuff from while moving Bob and Gloria out. But I should add a picture of that to the podcast page because I made a thin frame for it that was the same size as the Marvin window screen. So I have the Marvin window screen groove in the window already, but it's a fixed window. So I made a frame for it that would drop into the window screen space on the Marvin Essential window that I think turned out pretty cool.
Cool. That's very cool. I would say it depends on how much money you have. If you're trying to build your own place, like you can get amazing deals on cabinets that are sometimes taken out of beautiful kitchens that are just out of style and with some work.
A good example of that is Brian Campbell's recent kitchen install that he documented on his Instagram. I believe it's Not Tree. If you want to go on there, he took a couple of salvaged kitchens and kind of put them together into a kitchen install that turned out pretty cool if you're into that.
We've bought doors, as you suggest, Ian, because they're often a great deal and far better than anything that we could afford. We're also hunters for, cast off furniture at secondhand furniture places. And once again, if you have no money, you can often find pretty cool stuff if you're willing to put in some time.
Yeah, especially if you have a little bit of, skill to actually maybe retrofit them or bring them back up to, to working nature. You can definitely get good stuff. It's just, be careful what you choose. Think about it. Make sure things work and do your due diligence.
I would say be careful of appliances, especially, stay away from heating appliances and water heaters. That stuff is just not worth messing around with unless you have absolutely no money for mechanicals. That is very, very deadly.
You bring that up, and I have a early 2000s era gas heating stove, think wood stove, but runs on gas that Sarah and the dogs made me go purchase when we built the house so that they could have instant heat in the winter time. And that thing stopped working at the end of last winter. So I finally found a guy who knows those old Vermont casting stoves, who is coming in an hour and a half to fix that one. So I'm very interested to see what I'm getting myself.
It's not too late
here.
to pay him off, to tell him, to say it's unfixable and you can't have this thing anymore.
No, he was very excited that I called him. He was like, "These are great stoves. They last forever. They just need a little bit of maintenance. It's $200 for me to come over and take care of it."
It's probably like a spider in a gas line or something like that.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous like that.
I want to thank Kit from the bottom of my heart for the great question, because I think it is a super interesting topic of conversation. And I am guessing we're going to hear from other podcast listeners who have thoughts on this subject.
Send us pictures of your best salvaged item that you have put into service. Not
Amen.
laying around, put into service.
I should have compiled the list of stuff I've bought that I don't need
Yeah.
to warn others.